Hello everyone, have you noticed this? You are eating well, sleeping well, but somehow your legs feel weaker with each passing month. Are you over 60 and still walking every day? That might not be sufficient. If you are over 60, your legs are often among the first areas to experience a loss of strength, sometimes before you notice any significant issues. However, there is positive news. Certain beverages can help you combat this. Stay tuned. In this video, I will show you 3 effective drinks that support muscle and bone health for seniors, and the potential risks of choosing less suitable options. And hey, if maintaining leg strength is important to you or someone you care about, please remember to follow HEALZO and share this video with a friend over 60. Number 1. Milk that turns cold on your legs, not in your mouth. Hello everyone. It often begins with something seemingly insignificant: a carton of milk, a quiet kitchen, and a brief distraction. You might pour yourself a glass in the morning and then leave it on the table. Perhaps you sit down to check the mail, answer a phone call, or simply do not finish it immediately. Hours pass, and you return to take a sip. It still tastes acceptable, cold enough and not sour, so you proceed to drink it, thinking it is not a problem. However, for individuals over 60, that seemingly small moment can have repercussions throughout the entire day. Milk, regardless of its source, whether from cows, oats, almonds, or soy, is sensitive to improper handling. Once opened, it requires consistent and proper storage. And when it is left out at room temperature for even a short period, bacteria can begin to multiply. These bacteria might not alter the taste or smell noticeably, but your body will still recognize their presence, not necessarily with stomach cramps, but with subtle fatigue, a slight decrease in balance, and a peculiar heaviness in the legs. This type of fatigue might not be immediately linked to what you drank. You might attribute it to just having an off day or your legs feeling tired from the previous day's walk, but those unsteady steps, the slight tremor when standing up from a chair, and the stiffness experienced when climbing stairs can be early indicators that your body has been under subtle stress. And for seniors, the legs are often the first to manifest these signs. According to the National Institutes of Health, older adults are more susceptible to the effects of even mild food spoilage, particularly with dairy products. You do not need a full-blown case of food poisoning to experience the consequences. Just a mild immune response or a slight drop in hydration can be enough to affect circulation, muscle coordination, and lower body strength. And when this happens repeatedly, such as a glass left out at room temperature, a half-used carton left out overnight, or milk stored in the refrigerator door where the temperature fluctuates more, that is when the legs begin to bear more than just your weight. They start to absorb the cumulative effect of these small oversights. This is why senior health encompasses not only what you consume, but also how carefully you handle even the items you trust the most. Because the body, especially the legs, does not forget these subtle stresses. They will signal to you when something has been quietly working against your well-being. So next time you pour a glass of milk, be mindful of the time it has been out. If it has been at room temperature for too long, it is best to discard it. A freshly poured glass is always a safer choice than risking your balance on a gamble. If you thought that glass of milk was harmless, just wait. Your smoothie might be hiding the same risks, only colder and blended. Let's take a closer look. Number 2. Smoothies that feel thick but leave you weak. Hey, let's discuss something that seems healthy but might be gradually weakening your legs: smoothies. They are thick, creamy, and often packed with yogurt, banana, and perhaps some berries. They appear fresh and feel nourishing, and for someone over 60, they are easy to sip and quick to prepare. However, here is a crucial point that is often overlooked. A smoothie can only be as clean and safe as the way it is made. And all too often we become complacent. We use leftover fruit that has become a bit soft. We grab ice that has been sitting out, and we forget to thoroughly clean the blender between uses, often just giving it a quick rinse before making the next batch. It might not look wrong and it might not smell bad, but the potential harm for older adults does not always manifest immediately. It can creep in as a gradual decrease in energy, a feeling of tightness in the legs, or that "I feel heavy today" sensation when you are climbing stairs or getting out of the car. You might not directly link these feelings to the smoothie, but your body does. Even small amounts of produce or dairy that have begun to spoil, or contamination from a blender blade that was not properly washed, can lead to digestive irritation or strain on your immune system. While younger individuals might recover quickly from such minor issues, seniors can experience the effects differently. It can disrupt your fluid balance, decrease your appetite, or leave your muscles slightly undernourished. The result is a body that still functions, but legs that feel heavy and knees that feel a little less stable. That is why senior health involves more than just protein content or vitamin labels. It also encompasses what might be happening behind the scenes. A spinach leaf that was not washed adequately, the almond milk that has been half open in the refrigerator all week, the chia seeds that you forgot to reseal properly, the blender gasket that is never clean. These are not uncommon mistakes. They are everyday oversights. However, for an aging body, they can be enough to disrupt your equilibrium, quite literally. So the next time you prepare a smoothie, pay close attention to these seemingly minor details. Because while your mouth might perceive the thickness of blended fruit, your legs will register the impact of ingredients that were not handled with sufficient care. If you've ever tossed whatever's left in the fridge into the blender without thinking twice, just type 2 below, no judgment. Number 3, protein shakes that promise strength but can undermine it. Okay, let's discuss those commercially available protein shakes. You see them everywhere now, lined up in brightly colored rows labeled with bold claims: max protein, strength support, complete nutrition. It is easy to be convinced by these promises, and the concept seems logical. Consume something quick, convenient, and healthy, right? However, here is what those appealing labels often fail to disclose. Not all shakes are kept refrigerated as they should be. Not all bottles are truly fresh, and not all online deals are safe. Some are counterfeit, while others are expired products repackaged with discount labeling, even with well-known brands. If the bottle has been stored in a warm warehouse or subjected to temperature fluctuations during transportation without refrigeration, it is no longer the same beneficial drink. And your body can sense this, especially your legs. Instead of experiencing an energy boost, you might notice your energy levels dip an hour later. You might feel bloated rather than stronger. The walk to the mailbox might feel noticeably more strenuous, and that stiffness behind your knees might have appeared recently. This is not your imagination. When a protein shake has been compromised by time, heat, or improper storage, it can disrupt your digestion, cause unexpected spikes in your blood sugar, or even lead to mild dehydration. And for anyone over 60, these reactions often manifest not as acute pain, but as a gradual weakening in the calves and thighs, and a feeling of unsteadiness in your steps for no apparent reason. That is why senior health requires a different kind of scrutiny, one that goes beyond just the nutrition label to consider the complete history of the product. Where did it originate? How was it handled and stored? Did it pass through multiple warehouses before reaching your hands? The packaging might promise increased energy, but your legs do not function on advertising claims. They rely on trust. And the truth is, if a protein shake is not properly stored and sourced, it might be taking more from you than it provides. Now, if fancy bottles can fool your legs, don't be surprised. Even that gentle cup of herbal tea can do the same when it's left to sit too long. Here's how. Number 4. Herbal teas that sit quiet, then steal your balance. Hello everyone. Some drinks are unassuming. They do not fizz, they do not come in brightly colored bottles or with elaborate advertisements. They sit quietly in a pot on the stove or a mason jar by the window. Herbal teas, perhaps lemongrass, ginger, a cinnamon stick, maybe a few rose petals or chamomile flowers floating on the surface. You brew them with care and allow them to cool, and then life intervenes and you forget. The tea sits overnight or all afternoon. You might think, it is just herbs. What harm could it do? So you warm it up again, sip it slowly, and continue with your day. However, the effect does not always manifest in your stomach. Sometimes it settles lower in your legs. Over time, that tea, especially once it has been left out for too long, can begin to change. Exposure to air and the loss of initial warmth can allow invisible microbial growth. This might not be enough to make you acutely ill or stop you in your tracks, but it can gradually deplete your energy and make your knees feel unstable when you rise from a seated position. It is not a type of weakness you can easily identify, just a general feeling of being dragged down, a slight delay in your movements, a silent shift in your physical stability. And when this pattern repeats, reheating, reusing, and keeping old batches for convenience, your body remembers, not consciously, but in the way you move. In senior health, this kind of subtle imbalance is significant because the risk lies not inherently in the tea itself, but in the habit of improper storage. The assumption that natural equates to safe indefinitely is incorrect. Nothing left out for an extended period remains entirely harmless. So next time you brew a pot of herbal tea, try to finish it within the day. Discard any remaining tea the following day. Let go of the notion that it still provides the same comfort and benefit simply because it did initially. Because some drinks do not trigger obvious alarms, they simply diminish the strength in your legs gradually, little by little, until one day you notice how much more effort it takes to stand up. If you've ever warmed up the same pot of herbal tea 2 or 3 times, let us know with a simple 4 down below. Number 5. Cold coffee drinks that shake more than your nerves. Hello again, let's discuss those pre-made bottled iced coffees and flavored milk drinks that are so prevalent now. They are readily available everywhere. A quick stop at the gas station, you grab a mocha or perhaps a caramel latte with milk, you place it in your car, drink half, and plan to save the rest for later. Does this sound familiar? They taste appealing, being cold and sweet, and they provide a small energy boost. However, for someone over 60, they can carry risks that are not immediately apparent, and your legs are often among the first to feel the effects. The issue is not solely with the drink itself, but with what happens afterward. These bottles are often left out at room temperature, on the counter, in the car, or sometimes even overnight. Once opened, they should be treated like any other dairy product and require refrigeration. Without it, they begin to undergo changes, even if they still smell acceptable. And that gradual deterioration might not immediately affect your stomach, but can impact your stability. If you have ever felt jittery, unsteady, or experienced a strange lightness in your knees after consuming one of these drinks, it might not be solely due to the caffeine. It could be related to how the product was handled, how long it remained unrefrigerated, or the types of sugars and creamers it contained. For senior health, these small oversights can accumulate. What is marketed as energy can actually deplete the strength in your legs if your body has to contend with mild spoilage or excessive additives. And let's be realistic, not every bottle on the shelf is stored optimally. Some vendors might cut corners, and some drinks might sit in warm displays that should have been refrigerated. You cannot always discern this by simply looking at the label, but your legs can often tell, as they might feel the effects of inflammation, dehydration, or a decrease in muscle energy. So next time you reach for a chilled coffee or a sweet milk drink, do not just check the brand. Consider its origin, how long it has been open if it is not a new bottle, and whether finishing it is truly worth the potential risk. For younger individuals, it might not be a significant concern, but when you are past 60, your legs carry more than just your weight. They can also carry early warning signs of internal imbalances. If cold coffee from the fridge can wear you down, just imagine what an open cup from the street could do under the sun. You'll want to hear this next part. Number 6, street juices that taste fresh but hit harder later. Hey, let's talk about those freshly made fruit juices sold on the street. You know the ones, bright orange from carrots, deep red from beets, cold and sweet, poured over ice in a plastic cup. You watch the vendor squeeze the juice right there, and it seems fresh and natural, like something that will benefit your body. But take a moment and look more closely. That cutting board has likely been there all day. The knife might have been rinsed only a couple of times in the same bucket of water. The juicing machine, while loud and shiny, is probably sticky with leftover fruit pulp. The fruit itself might look acceptable, but was it properly washed or just wiped down? And then there is the ice, often chunky, cloudy, and sometimes melting under the sun before it even reaches your cup. It is easy to assume that it is clean because it is cold, because it is made from fruit, and because it feels natural. However, none of these are guarantees of safety, and here is what many individuals over 60 might not realize. You could drink that juice and feel perfectly fine initially, perhaps even refreshed. But give it a few hours, or even until the next day, and your legs might start to feel different, heavier, slower, and a little shaky when going upstairs. For senior health, these are not minor details. When something in the juice upsets your digestion even mildly, it can draw water from your system, weaken your balance, and cause fatigue that settles directly into your thighs and knees. It might not always be a full-blown illness, but sometimes it is just enough to make you hesitate before standing or to make your legs less reliable when you need them the most. And that is the underlying problem. It does not feel like an urgent issue, but it can be a recurring one. Week after week, your legs have to work harder to keep up. So the next time you are tempted by a cold cup from a street vendor, ask yourself, is risking your leg strength worth a few moments of sweetness? The answer might surprise you, especially when your sense of balance starts subtly telling you otherwise. Be honest, have you ever bought juice from a street cart just because it looked fresh? Type 6 if you've been there. Number 7, sports drinks that say recharge but drain you slowly. Let's discuss those brightly colored bottles emblazoned with lightning bolts and terms like electrolytes, hydration, or energy boost. You see them prominently displayed at gas stations, discount stores, and sometimes even right next to the milk. With their vibrant colors, bold names, and promises to fuel your body, they might seem like a good choice for athletes or anyone seeking increased strength. However, the reality is that most of these beverages were not formulated with the specific needs of seniors in mind. And, even more concerning, many of them were not stored properly from the outset. A sports drink that has been left in hot warehouses, sold at budget outlets, or manufactured with low-grade ingredients can have the opposite effect of what its label suggests. Instead of recharging your body, it can place a strain on your system. The sugar content hits first, followed by artificial flavorings and then the sodium. And while the taste might deceive your palate into thinking you are replenishing essential elements, your legs might tell a different story. You might experience a feeling of heaviness behind your knees, a peculiar stiffness in your calves, or unexpected breathlessness after climbing just a few steps, as if your muscles are full but not properly nourished. These drinks can create a misleading impression of health. The cold temperature, bright color, and electrolyte branding might suggest recovery and revitalization. However, in reality, the cheaper versions, especially those from less reputable brands or handled improperly, can actually worsen hydration if consumed when not truly needed. They can disrupt your body's delicate balance, potentially raise your blood pressure, and leave your muscles feeling weaker rather than stronger. For senior health, genuine hydration involves more than just an eye-catching label. It requires knowing the origin of the drink, how it was stored, its actual contents, and whether your body genuinely needs it in the first place. So the next time you reach for a neon-colored bottle that claims to revive and restore, take a moment to consider more than just the marketing. Pay attention to how your body feels after consuming it, because the only thing potentially worse than feeling tired is drinking something that makes you believe you should not be. If you think only bright sports drinks mess with your balance, think again sometimes. It's that sweet little spoon you stir into your morning tea every day. Let's talk about it. Number 8. The spoonful that slowly weighs down your legs. Hello everyone. Sometimes the smallest, most ingrained rituals are the hardest to question. A warm cup of tea in the morning, a quiet kitchen, and one spoonful of sweetened condensed milk stirred in, followed by a comforting sip. Repeat daily. It feels familiar, gentle, and comforting, and because you have done it for years, perhaps even decades, it might not seem like something worth reconsidering. However, here is a crucial point. When that spoon dips into a can that has been open for too long, stored at room temperature, or poured from a bulk container without any identifying label, you are adding more than just sweetness. You are introducing potential risks. Not all risks manifest suddenly, some develop gradually. They settle behind your knees, they rise into your thighs as a feeling of heaviness that you might dismiss as simply getting older, and they manifest as slight delays, such as needing an extra second to stand up or an additional pause at the top of the stairs. This is because sweetened condensed milk, which is high in sugar and often stored improperly, can begin to change subtly over time. You might not detect the shift in taste or see any visible alteration, but your body, especially after the age of 60, will likely notice its effect. In senior health, digestion tends to slow down, and recovery from even minor issues takes longer. Therefore, something as seemingly innocuous as reusing the same opened can of condensed milk for over a week, or purchasing repackaged milk from a vendor without a label or date, can introduce bacteria, spoilage, or chemical changes that might not cause immediate stomach upset, but can gradually drain your energy from the ground up. And the risk is not solely from the milk itself, but also from the repetition, the daily accumulation, the moment when your comforting cup of tea transitions from warming your hands to quietly weighing down your steps. So perhaps today, take a moment to pause before opening that old can. Consider checking the date or switching to a smaller, sealed container, and maybe, just maybe, try stirring in a little less and observe if your legs feel just a bit lighter by the end of the week. If adding a little sweetened milk is part of your morning ritual and now you're rethinking it, type 8 to let us know you're with us. And that is the crucial point. It is rarely about just that single spoonful of condensed milk. Most often, it is the small, repetitive actions we barely register, such as a glass of milk left too long on the counter, still cold enough to drink, but subtly altered, or that smoothie prepared with fruit just past its prime, blended in a device that was not thoroughly cleaned. Then there is the protein shake from the discount section, wrapped in appealing claims but handled without proper care. A pot of herbal tea left overnight because it smells okay. Iced coffee from a plastic bottle that has been sitting out all morning. Fruit juice poured on a hot street, diluted with water whose preparation you did not witness. Or a brightly colored sports drink that promises to recharge but leaves your knees feeling heavy hours later. These are not occasional errors, they are often ingrained habits, quiet and familiar. And for individuals over 60, where every bit of energy is valuable, these habits can slowly erode their physical foundation, not through acute pain, but through a gradual weakening in the legs, a subtle loss of balance, and a decrease in overall strength. This is because your body perceives what your eyes might overlook, and your legs are frequently the first to signal that something is amiss. And looking back at all of this, the milk, the smoothies, the teas, the tiny habits, you can see how each one pulls just a little strength from your legs without making a sound. But here's the good news. You can stop that right now by paying attention to where your drinks come from, how long they've been sitting, and how often you trust the wrong source. You give your legs a chance to breathe again. You give your balance time to reset. You give yourself room to feel steady, not stuck. That's what this video was all about, reminding you that your legs speak first when something's off. And for anyone over 60, protecting them isn't about doing more, it's about noticing more. So take care of what you drink, get your checkups, stay hydrated, and move with intention. And if this helps you rethink even one small habit, make sure to follow HEALZO for more senior health tips and share this with someone you care about. Their legs might need this message too.